Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tuesday edition of Video Clips, which is brought to you by Wellness Forum Health, the Wellness Forum Institute, and Make Americans Free Again. First of all, our food bars are ready to ship. They are delicious. The ingredients are oats, dates, cherries, apricots, walnuts, chia seeds, almond butter, ginger, cinnamon, and vanilla. We're getting caught up on back orders because we had so many people who not only wanted to order them, but then called to order them again after they tasted them. So we'll try to get to you as soon as possible, but get your order in if you want to receive them sooner rather than later. Last week was the Make Americans Healthy Again boot camp. It was fantastic. We recorded it. So if you missed it, you can request access to the recording by sending me an email. And then we have some great stuff coming up, an autoimmune disease boot camp. Lots of autoimmune disease these days for a whole lot of reasons. A research boot camp coming up in July, and then a workshop called How to Care and Feed for Your Brain, Your Hair, Your Skin, Your Pancreas, Your Liver. We're going to go body part by body part and talk about the impact of nutrition on those body parts. So if you're interested in information about all of that, Pam Popper at wellnessforum.com. And then one last announcement before we get into the topic of the day is we are offering a free boot camp for healthcare professionals. This is, you're either a healthcare professional or you're thinking of becoming one, are the criteria for participation. And that's July 22nd, 23rd, and 24th, 8 to 11 p.m. Eastern Time, another 9-hour free boot camp to teach everything from how to help people heal from disease to clinical skills to how to build a business and etc. So anyway, what I want to talk about today is how to build a muscular body and why you should do it. It's super important. And I found that it's much easier to get people to change their eating habits than it is to get them to exercise, at least as much as they should. People tell me things like, well, I'm active, I rake leaves, I clean my house, I weed the flower beds, and that's not what I'm talking about here. And I'm going to give you some super, super good reasons, probably more than you've ever heard before, why you should get in the gym or do strength training wherever it is you're going to do it. So let's just start here. As people age, most people just gradually disintegrate. They don't eat well, they don't exercise, their quality of life gets worse and worse. And this is why nursing homes and memory care centers are full all over our country. Most of this is avoidable with optimal diet and exercise. Here's a reason to exercise specifically to do strength training. Building a muscular body offers incredible protection against the ravages of aging. Muscle is a functional and metabolic organ, and loss of muscle or low muscle mass is an independent predictor of poor health outcomes. In other words, frailty is bad for health, but frail describes most older people because they don't engage in enough strength training and sometimes none at all. Unfortunately, I see a lot of younger, frail people as well. So here are some basics about muscle that might motivate you to get busy. Skeletal muscle is the largest organ in the body by mass, taking up 30 to 50% of our total body mass, depending on age, sex, and fitness level. Muscle is considered an endocrine organ, contributing to metabolic function, hormone regulation, and disease prevention. If you'd like to avoid type 2 diabetes, muscle building can help because it plays a role in glucose metabolism. Muscle regulates and controls glucose and lipid levels, which results in reduced risk of diabetes. Muscle loss results in reduced glucose clearance, which then increases the risk of type 2 diabetes. Energy expenditure or calorie burn is related to how muscular you are as well, with exercise playing a more minor role than the fact that strength training can build muscle, and that plays a major role. The problem is that almost all people in westernized countries lose muscle as they age. And I'll give you an example and tell you what the consequences of this example. The average muscle mass of a young, healthy man ranges from 77 to 110 pounds. So contrast this with the average muscle mass of an elderly woman, 29 pounds. The calorie burn for the young man, due to his muscle mass alone, is estimated to be as much as 485 calories per day. For the elderly woman who's lost muscle mass, 120 calories per day. This is a difference of 365 calories per day in terms of calorie burn, enough for the elderly woman to not only become frail, but fat as well over time. Most adults reach peak bone density early in life and then progressively decline, losing about 0.5% of their muscle per year. And then by the time they're in their 50s or 60s, it accelerates to about 3% per year. It's an imperceptible change for a very long time, which is why some people wake up in their 50s or 60s and say, oh my gosh, how did I get so out of shape and so fat? Well, the medical term for this is sarcopenia, and the consequences are significant. The early signs are easy to ignore. You might have some trouble going up and down stairs or having trouble lifting things that you used to be able to pick up pretty easily. But eventually, this leads to falls and loss of independence, which nobody really expects to have happen until it does. And one of the most frightening statistics is that frailty is developing in younger and younger people who will become disabled earlier and earlier in their lives. While many people claim, usually when they're young, that they don't want to live to an old age, my experience is they sure do change their minds when faced with early mortality. Lifespan is shorter for people who are not muscular, and recovery from diseases can take longer due to complications that develop in older, frail people. One of the mechanisms for this is that during illness, the body often relies on nutrients stored in muscle to promote better immune response and tissue repair. People with limited muscle reserves, therefore, have a harder time recovering from illnesses, including cancer. The only solution to this is strength training. Eating a high protein diet doesn't help. We have studies including people given the same exercise program and then randomized to low and high protein diets, and the only thing that makes a difference for muscle mass is how much strength training you do. Building muscle mass is best for health. Muscle mass contributes to lower levels of inflammation. Muscles release myokines like interleukin-6 that lower inflammation. And by the way, inflammation is a major factor in all of the diseases that you don't want to get, like cardiovascular disease, arthritis, Alzheimer's, and cancer. Most people associate aerobic exercise with better cardiac health, and it does help, but strength training helps more. There are other benefits of strength training too. Resistance training directly stimulates mitochondrial biogenesis and improves mitochondrial function, which impacts energy production. Strength training increases both the number of mitochondria and improves their function, leading to increased endurance and lower risk of disease and lower risk of early death. Strength training is also the key to preventing osteoporosis and even improving bone mass if you've already lost some bone. Walking's not enough because strength training impacts bones that walking does not impact quite as much, like hips and spine. People do like to hear good news about their bad habits, eat protein and stay active. And people tell me that all the time. I clean my own house and I do yard work. This doesn't work. Or, I watch everything I eat and I get my 10,000 steps in a day. 10,000 steps a day doesn't build strength. And I watch people doing the 10,000 steps a day. I know people who do this. They saunter around the parking lot at lunchtime. They're not building any aerobic capacity either. They're just marking time. So it's time, if you want to live to a healthy old age and have a really great productive life. And like I said, people think that they don't want to until they're faced with mortality at an earlier age, then they're willing to do anything. Well, how about being willing to do anything right now instead of waiting for disaster to strike? Strength training can actually be fun, and it's fun to be strong. I love being strong, particularly at this age, and not having to rely on people to pick up heavy boxes and, do some of the heavy work that I can do around my house, both my house here and my house in Port Clinton. So do it. And once you start doing it, you'll find that you like it more and more because we all like things that we're good at. So anyway, stop deluding yourself. That's what I'm telling you. I'm a pretty straightforward person about this kind of stuff, thinking, well, I'm physically active and I clean my house and I mow my lawn and that sort of thing. You need to get in the gym or get somewhere and start lifting some weights. I'm really building some muscle mass. You'll live a lot longer. You'll live a lot better. You'll have a much better chance of staying out of nursing homes and care homes, which I think we should all endeavor to do. And you'll thank me for it someday. All right, that's it for today. As usual, pass this on to anybody who you think would enjoy watching it, and I will be back to you on Thursday with more news. Thank you so much for watching.